Hi, friends. I hope everyone had a really nice weekend. We had some beautiful weather. Saturday, my girls got in their little pool, so we had a really nice weekend to enjoy. And now let's get back to work. So, this week, we're going to be talking about outer space. Yeah, we're going to be talking about space and the people that go to space that are called astronauts. So I thought this would be a really good thing to talk about because we just, and your grown up can show you, they can Google it and show it to you actually. There was just maybe 2 days ago a rocket launch. NASA is the United States, the people that go to outer space. They teamed up with SpaceX and they launched a rocket named Falcon 9. And it is going to space with some astronauts on there. So I thought this would be a good week to talk about outer space and the people that are going to outer space and what you can find up there. So tonight, I want you to go outside and I want you just for a minute when it's dark, right? It doesn't have to be the middle of the night, just as long as it's dark out. I want you to look up at the sky, okay? And I want you to find the moon. And I want you to look at the stars. And imagine trying to count those stars. It's impossible. There are so many stars you would be counting for the rest of your life. So I just want you to look up there, and it's so black and it's so beautiful. And it goes on forever and ever. And that's what I want to talk about today. So when you look up at the sky, during the day, you see the sun. And at night, you see the moon. Okay, so we know that. Beyond the moon, all the way to the sun, okay, and beyond Earth, where we live, there are planets. Now, we live on the planet Earth, but there are 7 other planets. Now, if you start at the sun, so we have our big, big sun in the sky. If you start at the sun, the first planet closest to the sun is Mercury. That's the name of the planet, Mercury. Now, it's very close to the sun, so it's very, 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 very hot. So people can't live there. The next planet closest to the sun is Venus. Okay? The next planet is Earth. That's where we live. So we are warm enough, but we're not too warm. Now, all the planets further get colder and colder and colder. So we start with Mercury, then we have Venus, and we live on Earth. And then there's Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Neptune's the furthest away, so it's really, really, really cold because it's so far away from the sun. Now, there used to be a 9th planet called Pluto. Yes, like Mickey's dog. But they decided Pluto wasn't a planet anymore. Yeah, that was weird. So I want to read this story. Now, it's called Shoot for the Moon, Snoopy. And it's written in cooperation with NASA. NASA are those people that launch the rockets and send people into space. So let's hear this story, and then we're going to do a really fun craft. So shoot for the moon, Snoopy. fine morning, Snoopy sat on his doghouse reading an astronaut training book for dogs. NASA was sending astronauts to the moon again, and he was determined to be one of them. I was the first beagle on the moon, he thought, and I'll be the second one too. Charlie Brown walked by. If you want to fit into your spacesuit, Snoopy, you'd better start training, he said. Charlie Brown was right. Snoopy headed straight to the park for training, after grabbing a snack, of course. Astronauts train for a really long time because they have to be in really good shape. Snoopy stood under a tree warming up for his exercises. He stretched slowly to the right, gradually to the left, and then back to the right. And in between stretches, he enjoyed bites of a giant sandwich. This sure beats the freeze-dried dog food they'll serve on the spaceship, he thought. Peppermint Patty and Marcy were also at the park. Look, sir, Snoopy's exercising under the tree, Marcy said, and he's got a giant sandwich. Peppermint Patty jumped down from her swing and said, well, I'm curious and hungry. Let's go see what he's up to. Hi, Snoopy. Nice sandwich, Peppermint Patty said. And nice to see you, Marcy added. Snoopy showed them his astronaut training book and then pointed to a headline in the newspaper. NASA preparing to blast off to the moon and beyond, Marcy read aloud. Snoopy smiled proudly. They're looking for a few good beagles. You're going to space, Peppermint Patty exclaimed. I could use a visual aid for my science report next week. Do you think you can bring back a moon rock? Snoopy nodded. Thanks, Peppermint Patty said. If a real moon rock won't earn me a C+, I don't know what will. Peppermint Patty leaned over Marcy's shoulder. The mission starts tomorrow? Peppermint Patty said. Good grief, Snoopy. It takes years of intense work to go to the moon. You need to get into spaceship shape right away. And we're going to help. We don't have enough time, sir, Marcy protested. Don't call me sir, Peppermint Patty roared. Call me Coach. Then Peppermint Patty turned to Snoopy. We're going to help you train. We'll show the world you've got the right stuff. You can be quite motivating when you want to be, Sir Coach, Marcy said. Does this mean I can't finish my sandwich? Snoopy wondered. Marcy flipped through Snoopy's book. Since liftoff is tomorrow, we'll assume you know the math required for your mission. I hope you've calculated the correct distance and speed you'll need to break out of the Earth's atmosphere. Yes, of course, Snoopy thought. I can also confirm that, regrettably, the moon is not actually made of cheese. Then let's start with some intense physical activity, Peppermint Patty declared. Do 20 jumping jacks and run 3 laps around the park. Snoopy groaned. That sounded a bit too intense. It's important to exercise in space, Marcy said. The low gravity affects your muscles. You need to use them to stay healthy. There's very low gravity in space, so instead of staying on the ground like we do, you float up there. Snoopy still wasn't convinced. Then Marcy said, besides, after a workout, you can treat yourself to freeze-dried ice cream. Now Snoopy was convinced. It took a while, but Snoopy finished his workout regimen. Marcy was surprised. The fact that you're a beagle and can do 1 jumping jack is impressive. She's right. Great work, Peppermint Patty said, patting Snoopy on the back. You've earned a little break. Snoopy immediately lay down to take a nap. After a while, Peppermint Patty woke up Snoopy. Get up, old pal. Get up, old pal. I'm going to show you what it's like to move in a low-gravity environment. Snoopy was confused. I thought napping was a low-gravity environment. Gravity is the force that holds your feet on the ground, Marcy explained. The moon has less gravity than the Earth, which means you'll float around like a balloon filled with helium. Peppermint Patty agreed, but don't worry, it won't make your voice sound funny. Here, Snoopy, I'll demonstrate. Peppermint Patty plopped Snoopy down on one end of a seesaw. He was immediately suspicious. I'm going to jump on the other end of the seesaw and launch you right up into the air, Peppermint Patty said. As you're falling, you'll get an idea of what it's like when gravity isn't holding you down. Isn't that clever? Snoopy did not think it was clever. Sir Coach, Marcy said, I have another idea. Why don't we use the fountain? Peppermint Patty was confused. A fountain? We're not throwing pennies and making wishes, and stop calling me Sir Coach. Marcy explained that Snoopy could float in the water, and he would learn what it feels like to move around while his feet aren't touching the ground. Peppermint Patty sighed. We can try it, I guess, but it's not as exciting as my seesaw idea. So when you're in the bath or playing in the pool, you can float and feel what it's like not to have the gravity of your feet on the floor. Inside the fountain, Snoopy floated on his back. He glided around by moving his arms up and down. How does that feel? Peppermint Patty asked. Do you feel lighter than air? Snoopy shrugged and thought, it feels like I'm in a giant bird bath. Don't tell Woodstock, though. I wouldn't want him to get jealous. Woodstock is that tiny little yellow bird that he's friends with. The last thing we need to do, Sir Coach, is show Snoopy what it's like to walk on the moon, Marcy said. According to the book, the surface of the moon is covered in craters, rocks, and lots of dust. Peppermint Patty paused to think. We may need to go to Pigpen's place for this training. Marcy presented an easier solution. How about we try the sandbox instead? Snoopy stepped into the sandbox. He took a small step and the sand crunched beneath his feet. Just imagine you're on the moon, Peppermint Patty said. You're in space, surrounded by stars. How do you feel? Snoopy smiled and thought, I feel like I've got so much more to explore. Snoopy climbed out of the sandbox. Well, Snoopy, Marcy and I have done our best to train you. All you need now is a rocket, Peppermint Patty said. Snoopy was exhausted but proud. His training was complete. Excellent, he thought. Now I could finish my sandwich. Peppermint Patty and Marcy walked Snoopy home. We're proud of you, Snoopy, Peppermint Patty said. You've learned a lot, and you never gave up. Snoopy smiled. I couldn't have done it without you, Sir Coach. Charlie Brown was surprised to see Peppermint Patty and Marcy. What are you two doing here? He asked. We've been training Snoopy for his mission to the moon, Marcy announced. Mission to the moon? Charlie Brown repeated. Of course, Chuck, Peppermint Patty said. Don't you read the newspaper? I wonder if he will really make it to the moon, Charlie Brown said. Suddenly, Snoopy leaped out from behind his doghouse, wearing a brand new spacesuit. Ta-da! They all laughed. I think he's going to try, said Marcy. If any beagle can do it, it's Snoopy, agreed Peppermint Patty. Snoopy proudly held up his head. Here's the world-famous astronaut blasting off to the moon. And there he is, and that's what the moon looks like. And this is what astronauts wear when they're not on their spaceship. It helps them to breathe because there's no air like we have in outer space. So they have to have an oxygen tank and a big helmet so that they can breathe. And that's our craft for today. And I'll see you in just a minute.